or two more minutes to the participant to join us.
Oh, yes, please. So we can also, Zishan, can you please start the recording as well?
I think recording is started. Please go ahead.
Yes, I think we can begin. The recording is already.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for a quick introduction. My name is Adnan. I have almost more than 12 years of work experience in IT industry.
Hi everyone, I'm Arsalan and I have around 10 years of experience. I'm currently working as an Agile Delivery Manager at CIKLUM.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sayyid Wakarul Hassan. I have about 11, 12 years of experience overall, and I'm currently working as an Agile Delivery Manager at CIKLUM. Thank you. Sitra, would you like to take us through the agenda for today? Right, I feel there's something
I
probably.
think, sorry guys, there was some connectivity issue. Now I'm back.
Okay.
So, okay, so with a quick introduction, I guess Arslan and Vakar has already introduced themselves.
Yep.
So let's start with um, why we are having this discussion. So as you all know, the Scrum Guide has been updated, and the good news is that Scrum is still Scrum. And it is still lightweight framework to solve problems and deliver values. But what has changed and how these changes going to impact our existing Scrum team is something we would like to discuss in today's talk. Because we felt at CIKLUM, actually, we felt that this is the time we need to bring our existing Scrum team up to speed with Scrum Guide 2020. And for this purpose, we decided why not to have a session where we should discuss our ideas and challenges we are facing and we will be facing in future with our teams while adapting the new changes. So if we look at our today's agenda, Vakar and myself will touch base some new Scrum changes very quickly, which will be followed by an activity. My colleague Arsalan will be explaining that. And then there's going to be a question answer session. And in the end, the interesting part, in the end, we have for our participants a question for which we have planned a surprise gift. So that is something very interesting. So if we, let's start with quick overview of what has changed. Um, the very first thing is that no more three questions in on the daily Scrum. In motivation behind that is that is to keep the framework open and less prescriptive. Developers can propose any structure they want, provided that it is focused on the progress towards the sprint goal and produces a plan for the day. That is something very interesting, which has eliminating those questions is something really good. No more development team. That's another interesting fact. The term development team got replaced with the term developers, and its aim is to eliminate the team within the team. And this is also very good for to eliminate the relationships, the strange relationship between the product owner and the development team. And we basically they wanted to bring back the focus on delivering values and being responsible for it as one team, not as a divided team, as a sub hierarchy which is already defined within the team. So eliminating the term development team uh, to the developers is really good change. um, the second one, the third one, I would say, the Scrum artifact commitments. Initially, there were only one commitment was mentioned, and it was represented by one of the 5 Scrum values. Now this value is personified, I would say, in 3 commitments, each one derived from one artifact. Each of the 3 artifacts now contain commitments to themselves, which is really good. Product owner, commitment for the product backlog, sprint goal is the commitment for the sprint backlog, and the definition of done is the commitment for the increment. We were previously were intentionally or unintentionally doing this, but it was not mentioned in the Scrum guide, so we were not sure if we should be doing it or not be doing it, right? So those commitments exit basically are there to bring transparency and focus to each of the artifact. And the last one, which I will be explaining, and after that Vakar will take over, is okay. So okay, so those commitments exist to bring transparency and focus to each of the artifact. And like I said, that just to refresh everyone's memory, the artifact represent work or value over here. And they help to keep the most important information, work backlog transparent, right? Um, the last one, which I will be explaining, and after that Vakar will be taking over, is less prescriptive, right? So what do you mean by that? It's actually over the period of time, the Scrum Guide started getting a bit more prescriptive. The 2020 version aimed to bring Scrum back to being um, that was sufficient, that the framework, by removing or reducing the language. For example, removed daily Scrum's questions, and then having as much prescriptive language, less prescriptive language as much possible. So I think due to some connectivity issues at my end, I'll ask Vakar to take over. Vakar, can you please start explaining your part?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Sidra. All right. So before moving forward with the last four items that are left in the presentation that you see on your screen, there's just a bit of a disclaimer that I want to share. Even though we have a new, revision of the Scrum Guide in 2020, it does not mean that, as already discussed by Sidra, that Scrum has changed. Scrum is still the same. There are certain items, certain wordings that have been changed in order to make it more understandable by a wider range of audience, which I will be touching upon in the last point of this slide as well. Um, so let's move on with the first point: self-managing over self-organizing. So before 2020, the word self-organizing was associated with the implementation of Scrum. So what that means is, in order to understand that, first we need to know what self-organizing means, and I will also compare that with self-managing. So for any team to be self-organizing, it leads to a bit of an area of doubt where the team or the organization might feel that they hand over items or work items to be done by the team, and then once we hand it over to the team then organizes what needs to be done and when. When we talk about self-management, it means that the team itself decides what needs to be done, how it is going to be done, and when they're going to do it. So just to explain a bit further, if we talk about self-organizing, for a self-organizing team, the team gets a list of items. If you can see, I have a few post-its in my hand. So they will get this work that needs to be done. And what the team is going to do is essentially pick all of these and see where it fits and how they're going to move forward with it, as opposed to a self-managing team, which will have a goal in as a guiding light for them, as to what they want to achieve. That team will then decide what needs to be done. So they will then define all the items that they will be doing and how they're going to move forward. So this empowers the team even further when we talk about self-organizing versus self-managing teams. All right, so then we move on to the 3 sprint planning topics. So prior to 2020, in the sprint planning sessions, the questions that were asked were basically what is going to be done and how the team is going to do it. In the 2020 revision, what we see is the importance or the involvement of the question why. Now, the why is important because it gives, as I mentioned earlier, it gives a sense of direction and a sense of purpose to the team as to why they're developing something, what efforts are going to, what fruit are their efforts going to basically reap. And it gives the team more of a sense of ownership towards their overall project and the product, or even if it's a service that they're delivering. So giving the team the ownership gives them a sense of purpose and helps improving upon their focus and commitment, which are the 2 very important values of the Scrum. And moving forward, as I talked about, focus, one team focused on one product. So it's always easier for an individual and as well as for a team to focus on one thing at a time and getting it done, as opposed to focusing on multiple things. Let's say 10 items that are being worked upon very hard by the team. Everyone's doing a great job, but at the end of the day, since they were focusing on multiple items, they might be able to produce good quality half-baked 10 items which will be of no value, as opposed to focusing on one item, one work item, delivering it with complete focus, commitment, and making it valuable by delivering one complete item as opposed to 10 half completed items. So focus is very important when it comes to developing any product or any service. For the last point, the overall simplification of language for a wider audience, Scrum Guide 2020 has had an underlying purpose of involving other industries, not just IT and software, making sure that Scrum is implementable across the industry. It can be the development sector, the defense sector, pharmaceutical industry as well. So for that, there has been a change in language in the Scrum Guide. For instance, terms such as the development team mentioned by Siddhar earlier has been replaced by developers. So now the term, also there were certain words such as testers and systems. So all of these words sort of, inclined the reader to think that this is a framework that is built specifically for the software industry. So having said that, since they've changed the wording, this now allows for a wider audience to be able to relate better and to implement this framework of Scrum in a different industry altogether. So moving forward with that, Arsalan, would you please be able to share the board that we have prepared? We'll be using that
I'll
for
share the board
discussion.
in a while. Can you please move to the next slide?
Okay, sure. All right, so Arsalan
So
will be discussing, giving the overview of Lean Coffee
yeah.
to us. Thank you.
So we have planned to have a lean coffee session with you guys. It's a very different and a very unique format. Basically, it's a format that allows you to have structured discussion. It allows you to, for the people who have shown up in the meeting, to quickly self-organize on topics that are relevant for them. So we are going to have a session with you guys. I'm going to share a link with you guys as well as share my screen so you can participate. All of you can participate in this activity. I'm going to post in the chat box a link. Please join me in that link, and I'll also share my screen in order to further explain what we are going to do in this activity. All right, let me know when you guys can see the screen.
Yes, you can see your screen now.
All right, great. So I've created this Kanban board. We are going to use this Kanban board as a lean coffee session. I have some different columns over here. So first is the ideas column. What we are going to do is I'm going to give you 2 minutes after I explain what the whole process is going to be. So you are going to have 2 to 3 minutes of writing down your problems or ideas, and the theme of this whole session is going to be the changes in the Scrum guide and the challenges that you may face with respect to these changes. So we're not going to go outside and beyond this theme. Try to be relevant to this theme. Once you whatever comes to your mind, just create this new card, write it down, write something down on it, and after you have done this and we are done with the 2 minute or 3 minute activity, we will vote with whatever you feel is the rightmost topic to be discussed. So whichever topic has the most votes, we'll try to discuss those topics. For voting, everybody of you will have 3 votes. So either you can vote, a single topic 3 times, or you can vote multiple topics of your liking. So whichever topic has the most votes, we will try to discuss that. But before we move further, I would like to provide you 2 minutes. And do you think 2 minutes is going to be enough, or 3 minutes for writing down the ideas?
Let's give 3 minutes. I would say, and
All
just
right.
for yeah, and just for your information, these are the 3 cards you can see on your screen is something we have already added for your help, right? And they are actually related to the new Scrum Guide changes, and we would like
Yep.
you to add any other change which you want us to discuss today. That would be great.
Any other change, or you feel that like there are going to be some specific
Yes.
challenges, or you already have challenges in within your teams or organizations, feel free to write those down. So if you can see my screen, I'm going to start a timer that says 3 minutes. Once the 3 minutes are over, we'll have a ring, and then we will stop this writing activity, and we'll proceed towards the voting part. So you have your time. You can write down your cards. And I've tried to keep it anonymous till the time is over, so you're not bothered that this ticket is already there. So why do I need to write it down? Just write down whatever comes in your mind.
Just click the plus sign and you will be able to add something.
Yep,
Arsan, can we remove this line? I don't. I think someone has accidentally
I have
added it.
not added this line. I think Vishan has done it. Just ignore this line and write down your cards. No worries. Meanwhile, you guys are writing down your cards. I'd just like to explain how effective this session has been. I've done it several times with a lot of different teams, and every time there is something interesting, something new that we all learn from this lean coffee session. I would encourage you to try it within your teams, within your organizations. It's going to be a great, fruitful activity.
And it's going to be as fruitful uh, as anything if everyone participates.
Yep.
And the key is the more participation we get from the audience, the better the session is going to be.
So I can see a lot of people are writing down on their
Which is
cards,
good.
which is a good sign. So we are left with only 14 seconds time. So guys, the time is up for writing your cards or whatever you're written. Just mark it as done, and we'll proceed to the next part. Uh, I can see somebody still writing, but just please uh, respect the time, and we need to move to the next part. So I'll give you another 2 minutes. Um what you need to do in the next 2 minutes is that all of the cards are available for you. You can vote your favorite card, which you would like to discuss, to be discussed in the next round. So uh, I'm going to start your 2 minutes now. You can vote your cards, read all the cards, whichever you feel is the most relevant or you feel the most interesting one. You can start voting now. At the end of these 2 minutes, we'll move uh, these cards into the next phase.
The most voted one will be discussed over here.
Yep, yep.
Interesting questions.
Yep,
Yes.
thought
Yes.
provoking.
Mm.
What is the third one? 10% of the team capacity. Okay.
So we still have around 45 seconds. You guys can vote in. I think we have over 20 participants, but the number of votes are quite less.
Hello, Ikram here. I can't vote. How to vote on this? Sorry, I joined
It's a
late.
You
winter
can,
season,
if you
so
can,
most of the people there are afraid to vote.
yeah, if you can see my screen
Even my cursor
right
doesn't
now,
change to him. It
maybe you
doesn't
can refresh your
change.
browser.
Okay, thank you.
So guys, the 2 minutes are up for voting. Let's sort out the cards which have been voted the most. So we have this card which says 10% of your team's capacity with refinement is gone. How do you guys feel about it? It's an interesting one. Let's move it over here.
You do.
We'll be discussing this one. As the daily Scrum meeting has no more three questions, so what is it now?
Yes.
Interesting.
Move it to. Yeah. Very
Um,
much.
Changes around the accountabilities of Scrum Master. Cool. Let's just start with these three, and if we have more time, then we can add more into the discussion as well. So right now, what we are going to do is I'm going to be moving the first ticket in the discussing part, but there's going to be an interesting part with it. You guys will have 5 minutes to discuss. All of us will have 5 minutes to discuss, and it's not that I am conducting this activity, so I am supposed to answer. Everybody is encouraged to participate. It. I am here as a moderator, just like you have your Scrum Masters moderating your ceremonies. So I'm here as a moderator to facilitate this activity, and you guys are encouraged. Everyone, even the guys who have hosted the session, to share their thoughts. Once we are done with that, those 5 minutes, and I'll have a time buzzer. We'll have a vote if you guys want to continue over this specific topic, or guys want to move to the next one. So for voting, what we are going to do is, um, if you can see, if you want to continue over it, just do the thumbs up. If you think that I'm done with this, let's move to the next one, just vote thumbs down, and we'll proceed to the next cards. So I'm going to set the timer to 5 minutes for now. And if you guys decide to continue with that topic, the next time around, we won't have 5 minutes. We'll cut the time to half. So you will have 2.5 minutes to discuss that topic. And I think given the time constraint, we are going to only have 2 rounds maximum for single card. So let's just start. I'm going to start the timer and uh, I'm going to put this card in the discussion section. The floor is all yours. Feel free, whoever wants to go first, please feel free to share your thoughts.
Okay, just to so that we can initiate a discussion. 10% of the team capacity with refinement is gone. How do you guys feel about it? Okay, so if we all have been following Scrum for quite a while now, and we know that it's really difficult for us to keep a strict time check on 10% of the team capacity has to be spent on backlog refinement, right? And it has never happened. As long as my experience is concerned, I don't think so. We have spent exact 10% of our team capacity on refinement. So what has changed in the guide now is that they have left it to the Scrum team. They have left it to the Scrum team to decide how much time they need per sprint for the refinement, right? Which is good and which is quite practical too, which we were doing unintentionally. We were never following
Yep.
it like by strict rule that we have to keep it 10%. Whenever we get some new stories in our backlog, we try to get them refined and groomed and estimated as soon as possible. So for me, it has always more than 10% of the time. um, I think this is a good decision for me. My personal opinion is that it's a good decision that they have removed this restriction of 10% of time limit. Um, if anyone wants to add anything, please let us know.
Yeah, I'd just like to have a quick comment over it and then I'll leave it to you guys. I think the whole new Scrum Guide 2020 focuses a lot more on the lean principles. So if we look at the
Yes.
10% of team's capacity to work on just the refinement, I think it at times you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, and spending time that could be spent on something more valuable in producing that increment. So I think it focuses its self on delivering more value rather than doing something that
Yes.
you're not even sure that even if it's going to be part of the next backlog or not. So I think it a lot comes back to the lean mindset and the lean principles. These are just my thoughts. Anybody else from the floor?
Which is quite a practical approach, I guess.
Yep, yep.
But if anyone wants to add anything, we would love to hear your comments too.
So, Tayyaba here, right? Guys, I would just say that, like, whatever you guys are talking about, that's kind of like best case scenario here, where we are
Hmm.
assuming that our teams are at performing stages. As a product owner, I usually work with teams that are just forming are and in the norming states, and the product that's been just initiated, the idea is not very, I would say, well stated at that time. It's like in the state of initiation or conceptualization. So what happens is that, like, everybody is kind of so focused on the goals and like delivering
Hmm.
to the development team. It's very difficult to get even those 10% out. If as a
I
product
agree.
owner, if I leave it to the team, they would say let's not have it. So taking this out, in my eyes, would have sort of like a downside to the teams that are just starting off, because they kind of would think that it's not a mandatory activity for them. And we can just go into the sprint planning and kind of like have the refinement right there.
True.
I
But take a
would,
view. Hmm. Yes, Akash?
yeah, sorry, just a quick comment on that. Again, as we discussed, Scrum has become very less prescriptive as it was before. So keeping that in mind, every team has to adapt to what works best for them. Uh, and around the same thought, we don't have any dictation from the Scrum Guide as to what amount of time a team has to dedicate to a certain activity or an event. But at the end of the day, what we need to make sure is that we have the three pillars intact, which is transparency, inspection, adaptation. And in order to ensure that, we need to have some sort of refinement in the product backlog as well, because otherwise how are you going to inspect, and how are you going to adapt if there's no adaptation? So I guess making sure that the entire team understands the importance of the refinement is going to be key here, instead of imposing a time box on a daily basis. As long as that purpose is being served, I think that's more important here. That's just my thoughts on this.
Right, right.
Yes.
I think there's some interesting discussion going on, but the 5 minutes for this particular card are over. So just going to have a vote, quick vote, if you guys want to keep discussing it or not. I'm not sure if I can see the screen, but uh, maybe Vakar, you can check if people are still interested in discussing this topic. Then please let me know. I can set another 2.5 minutes, or maybe we can move on to the next one. So if you want to keep
I
discussing this
do.
topic, just uh, give your thumbs up, or if you feel like you need to move to the next card, just keep your thumbs down.
I think,
You
Arslan,
can.
there would be another good way. Like if anyone has any other questions related to this topic, or if anyone would like to add any comment, so then we can continue. I
Yep,
True.
think
yep.
if there is
That's
from the
that's a
whole
good approach.
audience, anyone would like to add something in this topic, or do you want something to be understood about this particular question? So anyone.
So the main idea behind it that they have removed this restriction that the 10% has to be there. It's they have left it totally to the Scrum team that if they want to keep it, then that's fine. Otherwise, they can increase or decrease the percentage as per their requirement.
Yep. So I think we don't have any answer from the audience, which means that they are satisfied with this card. I'm going to move it to the done part, and let's have the next card in, which is, as said in the daily Scrum meeting, has no more three questions. What is it now? That's an interesting one. I'm going to set the timer again to 5 minutes, and yeah, anybody?
Yeah, should I go first just to break the ice?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Sidra's already shed some light on this. Again, I'm going to circle back to the less prescriptiveness of the Scrum Guide. So the three questions have been now taken out, but that doesn't mean those questions are wrong, or having those questions is wrong. What it means is whatever a team decides works best for them to plan out their next 24 hours and to reflect upon what they've done, and to realign themselves with the sprint goal and the product goal. I think that's going to be the main focus, as it should have been, and it has been for good Scrum teams for quite a while now. Um, so yeah, that's my opening thoughts. If anyone would like to add more or contradict, please feel free.
If you allow me, I would like to add, other than I think Sidra and Arslan, if you can add, that would be great. Then I'll take my turn.
Sure,
Sure.
please,
Again,
please go ahead.
one comment I would like to add over here that daily Scrum is something. It's more like a discussion. It's all about how you're going to plan your rest of the day, right? How you're going to plan your work ahead, right? And this is something we are already doing. They always kept those three questions optional, and now they have completely removed them from the guide, right? So the main idea again behind here is that they want to empower their Scrum teams to the point that they can decide how they want to plan their work rather than we dictating them that look, you have to answer these three questions, only then you will be able to plan your day, otherwise you cannot, right? So this is something again, in real life, if you ask me about the real life experience, it was never happening unintentionally or intentionally. We were sometimes used to answer those questions, but most of the time when we get into the discussion, we try to answer the questions more related to the future of the day we are going to spend ahead, right? So removing those questions is again a very good step they have added in the new Scrum guide. Yes, Mohsen, that's it. I just want to add this.
Yeah, thank you, Sid. I think most of the important part you and Vakar already mentioned. I just want to add a few things. If any one of you already taken our certified Scrum Master course, so mostly we talk about that, like before for Scrum Master, Scrum Guide 2017 version. So the main thing is, it's very important. You guys need to understand that in the last version, 2017 version, even these three questions were optional. They actually have given an example of asking these questions. These questions were not mandatory. You must have to ask that. The problem is most of the people, they forgot the actual essence of these questions. And take an example, the question was, what we have done yesterday towards the sprint goal. So we eliminated it towards the sprint goal, and we normally ask what we did yesterday, what we are doing today, what we will be doing tomorrow. So basically, they are actually removing those ambiguities that asking these questions, these three questions are not important. Actual thing is the team, the development team should work together and they need to plan their next 24 hours. And the questions can be, okay, so far from the sprint goal, we are okay, we are this much near. And we also need to add this much and that much detail. So let's work together to go for it. Okay, so that can be done in 2 minutes. So in the new guide, they eliminated a lot of these misconceptions. They have given some examples, and now they are removing those examples, those so that those cannot be considered as standards. So this is the main thing. So anyways, majorly हम लोग ये बातें करते हैं कि हम लोगों ने क्या कर लिया. Normally हम काफी funny किस्म की examples करते हैं अपने courses के अंदर कि एक बंदे ने कल क्या किया. तो normally he must be mentioning, yesterday I was doing this work, then I took some break, coffee break. तो किसी और ने मुझे बुला लिया, तो बाकी का time मेरा उधर लग गया. So we convert it as a status meeting instead of the actual inspection and adaptation. So just my 2 cents. I don't want to take much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohsen.
Thank you, Mohsin. Again, the 5 minutes for this card
Anyone?
are done. Anyone
Yes.
else wants to add anything to this particular card?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, मेरा नाम वहीद इलियास है और मैं सऊदी अरेबिया में हूँ. फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान बट वर्किंग इन सऊदी टेलीकॉम as a solution architect. I had a chat with brother Mohsin Shahzad yesterday about, because my goal is to get the the Scrum Master certification. I'm just trying to understand here the agenda. I apologize because I joined you guys a bit late, but is it like a new Scrum Guide 2020 where they are eliminating such questions from the standards, or could you please just highlight, give me a brief? Oh, I'm sorry, it was mute. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, is it the Scrum Guide 2020 where they are trying to eliminate those questions that what I have done yesterday, what I'm going to do today, and what is my plan for tomorrow?
So these questions were previously optional, right? There was a guide in 2017 in which they kept they added some questions like what did you do yesterday, what we are planning to do today, and what you're going to do tomorrow, right? These were optional, and what was happening previously? The team started using it as a norm. They were saying that no, we have to follow it because it's mentioned in the Scrum guide. In 2020 Scrum guide, they have just updated the Scrum guide. Few changes are very minor, but there are some major changes as well. And these among those changes, they said that the daily Scrum questions are no more optional. Like you don't have to follow those questions. They have totally left it to the Scrum team to decide what format they want to adopt for their daily Scrum. So that's the change. That's the biggest change they have brought from 2017 to 2020. And in this session, we are discussing only those changes. And basically, what we are discussing over here, we want to gather as many ideas as we can. Basically, we wanted to have a brainstorming sessions with professionals all over the Pakistan, who are actually have implemented Scrum in their organization. And now these changes are there in the market, and we want to gather ideas from them, and we want to present our ideas as well, where we can discuss how we can communicate these changes, the new changes, to the existing Scrum team. Do we have to give training all over again to other Scrum teams? Do we have to ignore those changes? Do we have to pretend that कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, ठीक है, जो भी है वो follow करो, जो पहले था वही है? तो just to make sure that we all are aligned. We are aligned with all the other organizations all over the Pakistan. We just wanted to have a session where we can understand if we need to communicate the new existing changes and new changes to our existing teams or not. And if we have to, then how we should be starting it. So
Yep, just to
the main purpose of having this activity is to involve all the professionals, and maybe you guys can also facing at your organization while implementing these changes. If you have not planned, then you can start planning on implementing these changes, just to make sure that we are following the actual Scrum, which can help solve our complex problems. That's the thing. That's the idea behind of having this discussion today. Um, so yes, Aslan, I think that's something we wanted to discuss about. If we move toward the next card. So, Aslan, can you please?
yeah, sure. I think we are just left with 15 minutes. Let's quickly discuss the last card. That's
Oh, I do have a
changes
question.
around the accountability. Sure.
I actually mentioned it in the chat, but nobody look at it, I guess.
Sure, please. Go
Actually,
ahead.
I
So,
am unable to
the thing is,
go
okay,
ahead
I'm
if
very much
you.
clear.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
I
I'm very,
think I'm replying. But anyways, yes, Sujafa, please.
so the thing that you told about daily Scrum meeting, that's clear to me. But what about the time frame? What do you think, or what can you suggest how we can manage our meeting to finish in the time frame?
Sujafa, I just answered you on the chat. By the way,
Uh-huh.
the time frames remains the same. It's not related to the changes in the Scrum guide. Time
Mm-hmm.
frame always related to the Scrum Master. Scrum, if you see the Scrum guide,
Mm-hmm.
then always about Scrum Master roles, it's mentioned Scrum Masters make sure that all the events should be time bound. So Scrum Master
Okay.
is there to do this job.
Yeah, I agree to that, but my question is how? How can one manage that? Because if we don't ask them to get into the questions, so there'll be a possibility that all the members in the team try to uh, tell more and more about the stuff, whatever they want to do or what they want to plan for 24 hours, whatever. So how to manage that?
Okay, so this is about Scrum
Um,
Master's skill set. Scrum Masters mostly are, since this is Scrum Master, like a Kung Fu Master sort of thing. So Scrum
Mm-hmm.
Master normally teaches, trains, and coaches the team. So they need to work with the team and they need to guide them, train them, educate them
Mm-hmm.
how they
Okay.
should be following the timelines, how they should be keeping their work within the time, and how they should be following the process. And retrospective is an event where you inspect and adapt the process. So these are the things already available in the framework. If there is any improvement that should be made, retrospective is there, sprint retrospective. And about the inspection and adaptation of the product, sprint review is there. So these things are already available there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, Mohsin,
Thank
I
you.
would like to add here, we can have plank scrum. It would be less than 15 minutes then.
right.
That's another thing. Yes. Yeah, please.
Uh, let's quickly move to the last card. I'm not sure if we can have 5 minutes for this, so I'm going to set the timer to just 3 minutes. Whoever wants to, share their thoughts. I've started the timer, and I like to encourage the audience to be more participative in this last card. I think all of us have spoken quite a lot. So anybody from the audience?
So I would like to talk about here the word servant. I think so. It is now removed from the servant leadership. So it's now
Yes.
only the leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys suggest about that? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'd like to answer that if that's okay. So basically, what's happened is instead of servant leadership, they've rearranged the term, and now it's a leader who serves. So essentially, it's still suggesting the same thing. It's only the clarification, or making sure that there's no confusion. As in some organizations, it was considered that a Scrum Master was more of an assistant, uh, helping everyone, but not wasn't considered as a leader or someone that would lead the team and be a mentor or a facilitator. So that was specifically highlighted by Dr. Jeff Sutherland, even in the the closing speech of the launch of Scrum Guide 2020, that this was specifically added or rearranged in order to emphasize on the leadership of the Scrum Master while in both the aspects of leading the Scrum team as well as managing the top tier of the organization and understanding what Scrum is about. So the management from the Scrum Master that goes in two directions, in the towards the team and towards the management as well.
Sure.
Right. Anyone else wants to touch on this?
Okay. I think Aslan, let's discuss the last card over here. Changes around the accountability of Scrum Master. Well, I don't think so. There are any changes. Job responsibilities of Scrum Master is still the same. They are responsible for Scrum team effectiveness, and we need to make sure that the Scrum Master has the accountability to make sure the team performance is continuously improving. The team is effectiveness. The team is effective, and they are working. He's facilitating all the events, and I don't think so. The changes are there are any new changes mentioned in the guide. If please correct me if I'm wrong, but they have just make sure that he is accountable for all these things. It was not previously mentioned in the Scrum guide, but now they have included it.
Right. So the time for this card is also over. I'm going to move this.
Any question or concern, guys, on this
Yeah.
card specifically?
So this is Zishan. Let me add one small point because someone
Sure.
explicitly asked me. So there is one thing they added is from the Scrum Master is now Scrum Master is also doing the training. So that is, I'm glad to know a lot of good discussion. So I just want to put my 2 cents. So now Scrum Master is not only doing the facilitation and mentoring and coaching, but also the
They are
training.
also educating the team. Yeah. Thank you, Zishan.
Right. So I think with that, let's just conclude this activity. I moved two of the cards to the epiphany column. What it means that what we have concluded from the discussion that we have had on these cards, I've tried to add the summary of that discussion in these cards. So this link is going to be available with you guys. You can review it after the meeting as well, and do try this format out within your organization, especially for retrospectives. I think it's a great great tool that you can use, and I'd also like to have some of your feedback maybe after this session. That's all from my side, and I'll hand over to Sidra for the next part. Thank you.
Okay, so for next part, we are left only with I guess 8 minutes, Arslan.
About
Yes, about 7 6 or
Five, six,
8
six
minutes, I
minutes. Yep.
guess, 5 6 minutes. We wanted to have an open session for question and answers, but I think we are not left with that much time anymore. But if anyone has any question or concern, we would like to discuss over here, which you are facing in your organization, and any idea you want to discuss over here. So we really it would be really grateful if you can discuss and let us know your thoughts on new Scrum Guide changes. If not, then we can move to our surprise gift question. I think there is one message. I guess.
Sidra, since you mentioned surprise,
Yeah.
gift sort of thing, so mostly people are expecting that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure everyone has Google opened in front of them.
Yes, please open your Google, and we will be sharing question shortly. Yes, Vakar, please share the question.
Yes, yeah. So for your disappointment, Google might not be able to help you much here, but let's see. All right. So the question is that Scrum has 5 values, right? Which are focus, openness, respect, courage, and commitment. But there's a sixth term. I wouldn't say it's a sixth value, but there's one very important underlying word that encapsulates all of these, and it's basically one word that binds the entire Scrum framework together. So anyone who comes up with that word gets the surprise.
Do we need to speak or write on the chat?
Yeah,
Just
first.
just write on the chat. Write on the chat. We can have more than one winner too.
An answer with a question mark will not be considered an answer, by the way.
Yeah, just a hint over it that it's not mentioned in the Scrum guide as well. So yeah.
Arslan, how much time are we left with for the answer?
I think the time is pretty much over, and I can see that there
Seriously?
is
Moses, seriously?
one guy who has answered the right
Yes.
option.
Two
Two,
guys.
we have
Let's
We
play.
have 2 winners.
Okay.
Anyone else want to?
Yes.
Guys, anyone
Just
else want to write?
last 10 seconds.
Last 10 seconds.
All right, we're
So
done.
we have 3 winners, I guess. Yes. So, Vakari, would you like to share the answer?
Yeah, I'll share the answer. Sidra will share the prize. So the answer is trust. The entire Scrum framework basically revolves around trust. If you don't have trust, there's no transparency, there's no respect, there's no commitment. Definitely, if there's no commitment, you'll lose focus. So, yeah.
Perfect. So give me the prize. I'm the winner.
Please, guys, share your email ID with us separately in the chat, and we will be sharing with you the surprise gift.
Great. Okay.
All right, congratulations to the winners, and everyone else, thank you for attempting.
I think I would like to thank everybody for participating in this session, and I think it was great to hear thoughts from a lot of different people working in different organizations. So it's been great. I would like to thank everybody on behalf of we would like to thank on behalf of CIKLUM to everyone who has participated in this activity.
Farhan, please share your email ID with us.
Is it okay? I have shared in the.
Yes, I have received your email ID.
Okay.
I have also shared actually.
So the gift
Farhan
is
just mentioned one
the gift is going to be the airline ticket from Riyadh, Islam.
Yeah, it's a Hajj ticket basically. You will get a free Hajj.
Yeah, you guys are more than.
You know, during COVID times, the airline tickets are the bumper price, not the simple price.
Yeah,
This is totally
and
different.
also the COVID, you have to have the the test report along with you in order to get on board. So they won't allow you to get into Saudi Arabia without having.
Did you get my email ID? I have shared in the chat actually.
Yes, Farhan. Thank you. Zishan Amjad. That's the third one.
Guy, I would like to ask a very quick question because I newly joined my Scrum team here in Saudi Arabia, and still I have a concern where the people, they ask for the stand-up meeting. People, they are getting irritated that why you keep asking us to come over for 15 minutes and explain what I have done yesterday and what I'm doing today and what is my plan for today. Especially I'm facing this issue with, especially with the developers. When they comes into the picture, they said, okay, I did the one method, so what you want me to explain today? So is there any way like we can skip a daily scrum? Like, for example, if the goal is clear, if the model or the feature which is going to be, which we agree to deliver within 2 days, so do we have to arrange a stand-up meeting where the goal is clear?
Well, we have to. This is something, if we are following certain framework, then we can't make changes as per our requirement. So if daily scrum is there, then we need to follow it and on the exact time of the day, and we need to make sure that all the team members are participating, even if our goals are clear, because scrum masters sometimes are not, if it, as a part of the development team is doing any kind sort of development, they might want to know some, and they might want to know some sort of blockers, impediments which team is facing, right? So having one sync per day really helps a lot in avoiding all the unnecessary meetings across the team. So I believe that having daily scrum is really important, and we should not be skipping it. Even all the scrum events are really important, and we should not be skipping any of them, and we should not try to customize scrum as per our requirements.
Just to add
Wahid,
to
I also, Wahid, I also have one question. Do your team trained on Scrum framework?
To be honestly, no. Myself, I have been to one like 3 days overview training. I'm not well trained, but I have seen done some projects where the team came from London. They we did work with them, and we saw how they basically drive projects starting from the business requirement till the delivery of the product. So
So,
we have.
okay, someone is unmute.
Farhan, can you please? Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have muted him. So, Wahid, the quick answer is instead we go in more detail. Whenever you implement any new process or a framework, the best thing is to train the people first. So they are questioning this from you because they don't know the details and maybe they don't know the essence of these kind of events. So the best thing is give them the education, train them, then they can understand why we conduct daily scrum. It's not a stand-up meeting. This is daily scrum. Stand-up meeting is a bit different thing. So that's my 2 cents. Vakar, please.
Yes, you've pretty much summarized what I was going to say, but just to give you a brief highlight of why the daily scrum happens. First of all, you need to understand that this particular session is the responsibility of the development team. It's for the development team, by the development team, and it basically reflects upon the two of the three pillars, essentially, actually all the three pillars of Scrum, which are transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So why this is important? It's because every day the team gets together only for 15 minutes to see if they're going in the right direction with regards to the sprint goal, and essentially consequently towards the product goal. And if there's any realignment required, they then align themselves with that goal. And if there are any challenges that the team faced, or if there are any blockers, they communicate that with themselves, and the Scrum Master then helps them in resolving those challenges. So on a daily basis, this gives the team the opportunity to reflect, retrospect, and align themselves in achieving the sprint goal. Otherwise, if you miss out on this session, you leave room for error, and you leave room for deviating from the sprint goal. So it's just a 15-minute session, but it's a very a compact but a very fundamental event of the day, which sets a target. It also makes the team focused on what they need to do. That's again one of the values of Scrum.
Yep. Just to add over here is, I think as a Scrum Master, you need to understand what exactly the concerns are from your development team. Try to understand why they are not, willing to be a part of the daily stand-up. Maybe you find out that they don't exactly know the purpose of this meeting. Try to understand the concerns and then start working over those concerns. Educating them and coaching them, it's not something that you can force on them, but try to educate them on why this meeting is important. If you are not aligned with your sprint goal, what's the point of doing all things that's not going to add any value? If you're deviating from your sprint goal, that's probably one of the best times to discuss with your team members on how you can strategize. If you need to remove something, renegotiate this scope of the sprint. That is the ideal time where everybody is aligned. You make these decisions. And I think this also relates to one of the cards that we discussed earlier. The three questions that have been removed. What is it now? So you can discuss quite a lot in the daily stand-up. 15 minutes does not mean that you have to spend exactly 15 minutes standing there and start discussing. You can wrap it up early and get going with your day. So it's about understanding your team's concern and then educating that why this is important.
Yeah, yes, I agree with you. Thank you very much for your explanation. I'll do the same, and I'll try to arrange a training for them. But because I was the only guy, and we have almost like more than 30 backend systems working all together in telecom, the company. So we are planning to arrange a sort of training for the guys, and I might maybe contact with Brother Mohsin about it. So yes, and thank you very much. This is my first session along with the Pakistani community, honestly, and the meeting was quite fruitful. And I think I missed lots of things because I joined meeting after 30 minutes. So I hopefully.
No worries. This is a recorded session. You can have the recording later.
Yes, and thanks a lot for the nice piece of information, man.
All right, and as we are talking Scrum here, and Scrum says that we need to time box our events. So our time box is already over. Anything else that we need to discuss today?
And the Scrum Master is spoken or awaken.
Yes.
Probably 8 minutes late.
I was
guys.
supposed to be in the meeting, right? That's the reason I was not speaking.
Yes, meeting is recorded.
Yep. All
Recording
right.
is available. I think you will be able to get recording from Hasib and Mohsin.
Yep.
So that will be shared on the YouTube channel, and the link will also be shared on the community.
Thank you so much, everyone, for
Thank you
joining
so
today.
much, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sidra, Waqar, and Arslan for your excellent input and sharing insights about the new changes. And hopefully we'll be having more sessions about the similar topics. Next Sunday, we will be having another interesting topic. So you guys will get the details by tomorrow, inshallah.
Thanks for Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Allah
Bye.
Hafiz.
Thank you.
Hafiz.